Try and be as quick as I can, and I appreciate everybody who's remained in the room today. Thank you. I'm here to talk about Europe PMC, and obviously we've heard a lot about kind of data databases, and Europe PMC is a literature database, but we are partnered with NCBI, so in the sense that we have a combination of PubMed Central, and other bits and pieces that is Europe PMC. But our mission, I'm not going to read it in the interest of time, but again, from all of the input that we get from NCBI, we're building tools and services on top of it. And so our funding model is pretty interesting. It's 37 different funders are all contributing into one grant. And basically, we're providing them with their ability to manage their open access policies. And those 37 funders and one grant, it's a 5-year cycle. We're currently in the 2021 to 26 cycle, and ELIXIR is providing in-kind services and in people support, and also the infrastructure. So like I mentioned, the content in Europe PMC, so we're partnering with NCBI for PMC, PubMed, and NCBI bookshelf content. But then since 2018, Europe PMC has been indexing preprints. And during that time, we've gone from a few preprint servers, and we've grown up to indexing over 30 servers now. So there's well over 500,000 preprint abstracts indexed within Europe PMC, and we've also we also have two subsets of full text preprints that we've converted. So one was there's a COVID, all the preprints that we found related to COVID, and we had funding for that. So that's one stream. So we're looking to have a kind of complete database for a complete subset for future analysis, and it's already being used. And then also all of the 37 funders on the previous slide, any preprint that we identified that has funding from them, we're converting to full text as well. So one of the things that Europe PMC is focusing on is unpacking the literature. So an article is, it's the text, but also there's lots of entities within that we're looking to uncover. So we are text and data mining and annotating bioentities. And as you can see from the screen there, that shows the SciLight tool. So if anyone was here earlier during Heidi's presentation, she had a few screenshots of that. We're also extracting links to data resources and also enabling knowledge databases to provide us with links to anything that they've curated out, and also all of the APIs, all of this information, not only the content, but also all the annotations and things on top that we've extracted are available through our open APIs. So Europe PMC has an annotations platform, and so the aim is for the verification of data. So this image kind of shows the potential life cycle of these annotations that can be produced via the Europe PMC's internal text and data mining platform, which can then be used. Those annotations can be found via the website or via the APIs. And so they can be reused by other people, as well as the content that's available. But also people, other groups generating annotations themselves can be submitted to the annotations platform. And so currently there's over 2 billion text mined annotations available via the API and the website. It's a W3C web annotation data model, so it's standardized, and all of the text and data mining that is done by the Europe PMC pipeline is not only on the journal articles, but it's also on the preprints. So I just, the next slide doesn't cover this, but also just kind of bearing in mind, remembering this image, the fact that it's extensible, and I'll show some demonstrations of how we've partnered with others to do that. So Europe PMC is data mining accession numbers, and this slide shows the 8 million accession numbers from 47 data resources. So we're mining from a number of EBI data resources, but as well as the ELIXIR core data resources. And unfortunately, I know earlier there were Silva and Brenda both had presentations. They're not quite on this graph yet. It's imminent. Like every day, I ask the member of my team, is it there? And I think he's had a few problems, but it's coming. That will be text and data mining for them as well. So here, as an example of how we've partnered with Magnify, another EBI database, there was a project using machine learning to extract 16 different types of metagenomic terms. So this was funding from BBRC, and the project it's come to its fruition now. And as you can see from the image on the right, this is how it is those text mined or those machine learned the terms that are demonstrated within Magnify within their database, and they're all available via the pipeline that Europe PMC's got within the API and the annotations platform via Skylight as well on the website. So that research project, like I said, has come to fruition, and all of that data is available. But the problem is that it was very much a research project, and so now the challenge is for the member of the team now to convert that into a more kind of sustainable pipeline that we can be, so that basically he's having to reduce the size of the models, play around with things to get it to a point where we can be running that through our system on a daily basis and picking up all new articles with this type of with these annotations. So the other example that I wanted to focus on was a project with open targets. So this is about aiding drug target identification, and the project that the machine learning team at Europe PMC was involved in was generating the kind of associations between gene and proteins to disease, gene proteins to chemicals and drugs associations, and then disease and chemical drugs associations. So the work that they did produced the annotations of each of these things, which are now within the Europe PMC annotations pipeline. But the actual associations are delivered to open targets. And then what they're doing is with other sources of information from other places, they're then ranking these associations that have been provided. And so what the next step for us will be for them to be delivering back to us the verified and ranked associations. And so, like I said, that in the image I showed earlier, the kind of cyclic approach, we will be getting back the data from them. So like I mentioned before, there's the programmatic access to Europe PMC. So there's the article REST API, but also the annotations API has all these annotations. There's also bulk download, and there's a developer forum, a tech blog, and loads of support there for anybody who wants to get content from Europe PMC, as well as the available annotations. But just a kind of word to the wise on what is actually available. So obviously abstracts, they come under kind of fair usage. So all of that is available. But there is an element of content that is available to be read on the website, but is not available for kind of text and data mining. So you'll see from this image that there's that kind of white area that neither us nor PubMed Central can make available for others. But we've also the preprints that is an added section to this, and like I mentioned before, there's like 50K full text preprints that are available within these content downloads for people to reuse. I did notice on another slide earlier, someone mentioned open source. And so I say obviously all of our models that are produced are made open source and available. At the moment, the Europe PMC text mining pipeline is currently internal. But what we are working on now is making that open source to enable reuse of it and development of it, but also for alternative sources, because obviously it's just being run over the content that we have access to within Europe PMC, but there are other sources and other things that other people might want to be running over. And this is actually being used by another group at EBI currently to kind of experiment to see whether they can use it on other content. So I'm really conscious of time. I'll try and be really quick, talking about things that we've got upcoming. So if you were here earlier, you just has already mentioned the fact that we supplemental files from journal article content. They're delivered to bio studies already, but our next project and what we're working on now is an API where they'll be delivered from bio studies and they'll go through the text and data mining pipeline. So to reveal all of that hidden data, session numbers, and entities, whatever that's within that content. And one of the other things that we're very keen to do for kind of to support FAIR is to make it really clear to users when they do access the hidden entities via the website, just demonstrating to them how they can cite this content using a biostudies accession number, rather than this content again being just cited as part of the research article and identifying it as data and something different. So the Europe PMC team is building a machine learning filter. So based on the work that had been done with open targets, we're putting a filter over the pipeline that we currently have, which is dictionary based, to remove any false positives that we have in there. We have a longer term plan that's going to take another year. It's going to be running way into next year to replace the dictionary-based annotations with machine learning, and that will add in false negatives that we're currently missing. So also I think this kind of ties in with some of the things that Henning was saying. We've got an ARISE fellow within the team who has got a project where he's building a biocuration toolkit in collaboration with a lot of the curators at EBI, and the purpose of this tool is to streamline workflows for biocurators. So it allows, so it's based on the APIs and the available kind of search from Europe PMC, but it's being built with curators in mind, and it's allowing them to add notes and highlight features within this tool. So as I think Henning mentioned, a lot of curators, there's kind of clarification between junior and more senior people, and this sort of tool will help them with that. So I hope I didn't rush too much, but thank you very much. This is my acknowledgement slide to the team at EV at Literature Services, and then the generic.